háganos un countdown o algo así. Oye,
Yo sé.
¿ya entraron con el intro o no? Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another CGB Talks. This is our second chance to have an interaction, and with me today I have Claudia and I have Miss Vivi, and we're going to have a conversation about bullying. So bullying is this term that everybody is using, and everybody says, this is bullying, that is bullying, and today we're going to sort of try and find out what actually bullying is, how it shows, how it demonstrates, and how it lives. So today, before we start, we're going to start with certain key ideas. The first thing is, this is a conversation, and there is a nature to bullying that needs to be identified. One being violence. What does violence mean? How does it show? How does it live? How do we naturalize it? How do we take it seriously, and how we don't? So that part of that conversation is very important. And then that we will understand that children learn through observation. You can tell them what to do, you can say it, you can until you're blue in the face, but if you don't show them, then they're not going to understand. So if you say, don't scream, but you say, don't scream, they're going to scream. If you say, treat people with kindness, but then you yell at somebody, or you treat somebody in an inappropriate way, they're going to follow your example. Us as adults, we show that example. So if you're stopped by a police car and then you're tempted to give somebody money, they're going to learn that behavior and they're going to make that natural. So it's important that we understand that children don't do as we tell them, but what we show them. And
Which can be violent.
okay. How about humiliation, Claudia?
Humiliation is when you have a lot of fear as an adult or as any human being, you know, and you said, sit down properly, please sit down properly. And then what you are saying to that person, to that little child, or to that, you know, teenager is, be scared of me. You need to do what I'm telling you to do. And you are not creating a connection with this little teenager or with this little child. What you are doing is intimidating. What you are doing is humiliating. And you know something that all the parents, and I'm totally sure, 100%, that all the parents that are in this school adore the children. And they want to be like the best parents. But at the same time, being a father, being a mother is a huge responsibility. And it's a huge responsibility, basically, because you need to guide, you need to like support, and you need to give example. And when you give example, you know, it's a complicated responsibility because, as you said, Joe, they are learning everything from us because we are the first one who teach them, you know, how to connect with life.
And it's so interesting that we, or many of us, I'm not going to say who, we say we're never going to do these things that our parents did. We're never going to repeat these patterns. And then we go into something completely different. For example, negligence. And what do I mean by that? It's like, okay, I'm going to ignore you. I'm not going to take you into account. And that is violence. That is aggression. It may not be blatant and not be obvious, but choosing not to be a part of that child's life or hard emotion or difficulty and showing that I'm not going to talk to you for a week, that is violence. In the sense that we understand that children need adults and that we walk with them. and that we love them unconditionally, but we're going to be there to be parents or caregivers or teachers. And I'm not sure who this person was, but this person should be prosecuted as a criminal. Whoever said that the adult needs to be a friend of a child. It is an awful situation. And here you have two choices. You are either your child's friend, or you're either his friend or her friend when they are adults. Because you are there to raise people. You are there to say no. You are there to say, set limits and come up with ideas in order for them to become adults that you want to have a conversation with them. So where does this compensation come from, Claudia? Maybe.
But you said something very interesting, Joe. Is basically that sometimes we reproduce what we saw in our families when we were little.
Sure.
So basically, if we were totally loved and everything, I'm going to do exactly the same. When, for example, my father and my mother were so like this, you need to do that because I say so. You can say, I'm going to repeat the same model, or you say, you know something? I'm going to do totally the opposite. Negligence. Do whatever you want to do, Billy. Do whatever you want to do, because I suffered a lot as a girl. So I'm not gonna put limits to you. You can do whatever you want. So basically, I just wanted to add that part.
And we're friends.
And we are friends, and that's very complicated because you need to be first a father, a mother, someone who guides, someone who needs to be very objective. You know, I interview all the families here, and they are like the owners of companies. They work in multinationals, and they can be like the perfect leaders there. I'm not saying that you are not leaders, but I'm saying that it's hard to be objective when you are with your children. So in those moments when you need to correct, when you need like to say, stop doing it, you don't know what to do. And in that moment, you start to project like a lot of intimidation to me, or negligence too.
Okay.
Sorry that I said
No,
that.
it's
I
fine.
had a lot of things in my head when you were talking.
It's a good idea that we started with this conversation. So why do parents not, because I don't think this is a necessity in the children inherited, but why do parents want to be friends with their children?
I don't understand.
Okay.
No, I guess it's a way to get proximity, and I guess it's a way to relate with them, because maybe they're afraid to set limits, maybe they don't know how to do it, so it's easier to say, okay, we're friends. But the question is, would you do the things that you do with your friends with your son or daughter? Would you go on a party with them and act as if they were your friends? To me, that's absolutely impossible. Like, it's actually very different. You don't have the same age, you don't have the same interests, like, it's very different, of course. So I don't understand why, but I can say that it's very confusing also for the child, because they don't know, which ground their feet are on it, Like, it's difficult for them to say, okay, if you're my friend, why are you being like this? Why are you telling me that I cannot do this or that?
It's unfair.
It is unfair, right? Because if you're my friend, then I'm going to tell you what to do, and you're going to tell me, like, hold on a second, you're just my friend, right?
Yeah. So I want to take this opportunity, so please, if you have any questions, write them down in the chat. We're going to share the presentation that we're going to have. Make sure that you come up with any questions that you want, and we'll be willing to answer them at the end of the session, but it's important for us to understand you, your voices, your ideas, and what you actually understand.
So,
Yep.
a mother was telling me a long time ago, it's hard to be a mother, I don't know what to do, when to do, they don't give us like a manual,
No.
to do exactly the right things. And to be honest, sometimes, people, or most of the time, people are observing us, Are you a good mother? Are you behaving in a good way? My parents, my sisters, and I said, something? It's important that you don't pay attention to what the other thinks. You need to pay attention to what your child thinks also about you, because he's the one who really is observing you.
Yeah.
And one day he's going to say, oh, I'm so fortunate because, I had the family I had. Or I was so traumatized. I need therapy all the time. Because definitely...
You don't need to be traumatized to go to therapy.
No, it's true. But, I'm telling you what parents have told me.
And it's important to understand that, again, children do as we do. So if we make sarcastic jokes that we think are funny, they'll come to school and create that sarcastic joke, and it may not be funny, or it may not be appropriate for a particular age. When we act a certain way, it is something that they'll replicate. And here I come with a controversial thing, and I want your input on this. My idea is, when a child is met with aggression, any sort of aggression, it does not speak to that moment and the child being a certain way or demonstrating a certain behavior. I think it's more about the parent letting out steam and frustration and anger, their own emotions that they cannot control. But they think that they're helping their child. Do you think that's what's
Parents need to breathe, because basically, no, it's true. We all, as adults, we all need to breathe when our children are having a problem, I have seen a lot of parents that says, my son, my daughter have been bullied in your school. And at the end, we noticed that it wasn't a bullying, it was a conflict. But because the parents were like so anxious, the children were were anxious too. And not everything is bullying, and I think it's important to understand the difference between bullying and conflict.
And also, I would say we need to be super aware of what we do and how we behave. I know sometimes it can be super stressful to when your child comes and tells you this happened, today, and you want to just go to that person and say, how dare you, you did this to my son. But then you need to be aware of what you are projecting. What is this child seeing from me when I'm having a stressful moment? Because guess what? They're gonna replicate this throughout their lives. So you need to be very aware of what you're doing, what you're saying, like having a structure in your mind of, okay, I'm feeling very, frustrated, but what should I do with this frustration? Because at the end of the day, I need to help him, but be a good human being through my, role, through my guide, through my model. Yeah.
And it's important right there to say, we are raising children for them to live without us, to not need us, to not walk with us all the time. So to give them that idea, and sometimes, and I want to replicate something that you both sort of mentioned, but it's important, is we externalized our own trauma, our own life.
Fears.
We project that on the children because I lived this bullying when I was a child, maybe, or I lived this sort of circumstance when I was a child, and then I'm going to try and overcompensate and protect you and put you in a bubble. And poor little thing, let's not touch you, okay? And then we transmit this to our children.
Or when you said, you need to defend yourself. You need to
Toughen
be strong,
up.
Stand up,
But what does that mean, right?
I mean, the parents are like with a lot of fear, and definitely they don't want something bad to happen to the boy or the girl.
Course.
But at the same time, it's important to be assertive in the things that we tell, our children.
Yeah.
Because if we are assertive, we are going to form assertive children too.
Yeah. And it's interesting, and now I want to just pass on the baton to Vivi, who's going to sort of walk us through what adult behaviors are seen in different spaces. And please, go ahead.
Okay, so first of all, we want to speak about how violence is normalized. So how does this happen? It's because we have been exposed to this repeatedly throughout time, at home, at school, movies, everything around us, right? And we sometimes tend to minimize things, right? So you can say like, oh, it's not a big deal. Just ignore it, let it go, it's gonna be better, right? And sometimes when they do something and it goes unnoticed or they get a reward, they understand that this behavior works. So for example, if I want to be first in the line, then I push someone, no one says anything, so I have the best spot. What am I learning? That this is a strategy that works. I can push people away to get what I want, right? Also, sometimes our own language is hiding harm. Why? The same thing that we were just saying. it was just a joke, they're just playing rough, no, don't worry, he's just teasing. And this is like hiding the harm in a way that is very confusing for the children.
And let me stop you there. There's a couple of things that are cultural and not acceptable. What do I mean? Boys don't cry.
Exactly.
You cannot cry.
Don't express your emotions.
Don't express your, or that's why you're crying? Take it like a man.
Minimize things.
Act like a girl. Be ladylike. You know, all of these things that come out of our mouths that sort of teach our children that they should behave according to some sort of social norm instead of saying, no, this is uncomfortable, this hurts. I don't want this, this doesn't feel right. And we should listen to that voice.
Absolutely. No. There's also, it's become normalized to have this power imbalance as a rule. So as we were just saying, like, just toughen up. Like, this is the way you gain respect. Remember, the stronger one wins. We are creating a power imbalance right away when we say this. And of course, everything around us, movies, music, humor, it can be related to violence and is this insight. Can you help me with this word?
Sure. Desensitize.
There you go. And it's making us feel that this is a normal thing for everybody, that violence is a normal and a common language across, the community, across the world.
And not only that, I'd like to add, sometimes because we want to connect with friends, we allow our children to see things that they're not ready to.
True.
Again, with the desensitizing. And we hear this from a lot of our children, young children. Oh no, I watched this horror movie. Did you watch that, Freddy
Many
Nightmares,
times.
whatever it is? Or
Yeah.
did you watch And I'm like, why are you watching this? With whom? So that sort of thing is, there are certain things in life that you're supposed to be a certain age to be able to do. And that is your responsibility as a parent.
And I think when you mix roles, like when you say, oh, you're my friend, so then you open the door to have these moments of, let's watch, I don't know, Five Nights at Freddy's.
That's what it is.
There
I
you go.
forgot the name. I'm sorry, I don't watch that.
Or whatever it is, together. And it's like, so what's the message? So it's okay if I watch this, because if I'm watching it with my mother or my father, then that's how it is.
Or wrestling. Or when they watch wrestling and then, I wonder why the child hit the other child.
Yeah.
And jumped off a bed. I don't know, whatever it is that they're supposed to do. I'm sorry, I interrupted. Go ahead.
But sometimes it's important to watch the movie together. I mean, in certain occasions, and to guide
Yeah.
the children.
When they're the age.
But
When
follow the
they are
rating.
probably
Follow the
they're
rating.
the age.
Yeah, because the parents, if they are assertive, they know how to guide them and make them understand, how things work.
No, I absolutely agree, but you need to be conscious on the age,
That's
right?
true.
And what's appropriate. So our behavior is very important for them. A family is the first social environment where they learn how to connect and how to interact with others. So everything that we're doing, they're watching, every little single thing. So we need to be very careful and aware of what we're doing. As Joey was saying, they're not learning from what you say, they're learning from your actions. And this is like words for them are very abstract. Actions are very concrete. So they get connected with actions easily, right? And I would like us to watch a video, which is very short,
Please.
but very interesting to reflect on. Okay, so this is a very lovely, representation on how our behavior impacts the children's behavior. Okay.
And just to take the opportunity there, like I said, parents are so important in how they understand the world and how they share. So I'm just going to give an example. I'm not going to mention the school that this happened at, but maybe 10 years ago, I had a parent in my office and he was so angry because somebody had talked about violations, and then that in Spanish has such a strong meaning, and then they were so angry that they had to explain, and this was for a fourth grader, what that is and the transgression and the sexuality of it all, and he had to do all of these things, and then we said, but did you listen to your child? We were talking about human right violation. So it's a matter of understanding context, because it is what we understand and how we see the world, not necessarily what the children are doing or saying.
When I was watching the video, I was seeing a father doing like this, and the other one, be careful with the values that you also teach them. It's so important, because if not, they're going to reproduce them. They think that that's normal. Sorry, but I just needed to say that.
Yeah,
And we're getting questions. Please keep giving us questions, please, and we'll answer them at the end. Go ahead.
So as you see, we're the blueprint for the social behavior. They are observing us all the time, even online. And this is important. They're watching how we disagree with people, how we respond to mistakes, how we treat different people. So because this person is different, am I gonna treat this person differently? They understand what's hurtful or what's funny, right, from watching us. How we use our words, how we use our strength, our humor, how we refer to others when they're not present, which is so important. If we're discussing someone else's appearance, and I think something very, very important is how we refer about ourselves. All that self-talk they're learning from us, they're going to reproduce it. So if you start your day saying, oh, I'm so stupid, I forgot to do this. Oh, I'm getting so fat, skinny, whatever it is, the words that you're saying about you, those really matter to them. And this is the model they're gonna follow to speak about themselves, right? So, and this happens everywhere. Everywhere where adults are, children are watching, even, again, if it's online, okay? They don't understand, if they're young, the difference between real life and digital life. And the lesson is the same. If it's, real life or digital life, the lesson is the lesson. They are learning the lesson, right? So nowadays it's so, common to have this digital life, right? And I know technology has been great for so many things. But there's something we need to keep in mind, and it's that digital life creates virtual distance, right? So if I'm in my computer, Claudia is in her computer, she's in her office, we're having a virtual distance, right? But what happens with that virtual distance is that it reduces empathy and raises cruelty. Why? Because you're behind the screen. So you're saying things that you wouldn't say if you're face to face, right? And then you can laugh at someone's mistake and no one is listening to you. You can attack, you can say, oh, I don't like this, how dare you say this, why do you have certain, beliefs? And then justify it as, it's just my opinion, it is not a big deal, I'm just saying what I think, right? So because of that distance, cruelty feels lighter, right? No one's watching, no one's saying anything. And I would say lighter, because it's never light.
Really cruel.
Exactly. Words feel less serious, like
But
I'm
it
just
feels like
typing
we have
it.
permission to be cruel.
Exactly. Yeah, like no one's watching me, so I'll do it. And harm feels very abstract.
And a lot of people are watching. I mean, not just
A lot of people, absolutely.
We hope.
So we need to be careful with this digital life and what it is creating, right? And then, as I was saying, it's when you go online and you want to comment something, you're saying, I'm allowed to say what I think, this is a free country, right? Or, oh no, it was just a joke, just an opinion. I'm just being real. I'm just being honest. So can you see how these opinions become very harmful because they're humiliating and they're targeting someone, right? So even if you have that virtual distance, it hurts exactly the same. Yeah.
I agree.
So,
Claudia, power dynamics in the home. How do we approach these?
power dynamics, they learn everything from adults, from parents. And basically, they learn about respect a lot from us, adults and parents. They know a lot about empathy. Are the parents very empathetic or not? Are the parents honest or not? Are the parents people who know how to organize their emotions? Or every time that there's like a problem, a situation, they don't think and they explode, And power is authority. And maybe all the parents are going to say, no, in my house, we don't have any kind of authority. Yes, definitely. If you are not the friend, you are the father, you need to like put a lot of norms, rules, structure that is really, really, really important. If we transmit, things in a calm way, in a predictable way, in a protective way, they're gonna feel safe. But if we are humiliating, because through our fear, because we are nervous and we want them to be perfect, we want them to survive without us. So we teach them everything right away. You need to defend yourself. You need to
do something,
say things right away. We're going to make them feel unsafe.
So if my behavior is, I made a mistake, let's say I made a mistake, and I met with screaming, yelling, or hitting or something, what do I learn by that?
But first, I'm not going to tell you anything at all, related to if you're my parents. Yeah. Second, that mistakes are terrible. If I make a mistake, no one likes me.
Or loves me.
No one loves me.
Love becomes conditional.
Exactly. So it's important basically to organize our emotions too when we say things, and guide them. You can see there safe power, unsafe power. And I want to ask you all, what kind of authority, what kind of power are you projecting? Because most of the time we project that power not in a very conscious way, because our fears, because our history, so it's important to be totally objective.
So just to add to that, power is a dynamic, that's natural, but how that happens in the home and how a child is open to actually understanding a mistake will change according to how the parent or the caregiver or the teacher reacts to that.
How reacts, and they're observing, Who is the one who's putting the rules? Or there are not rules at all. There are not limits at all. So I do think it's important to be very conscious. There are different types of authority, and you can see the protective authority and the harmful authority. And it's important to think that with all the sentences that we say every day, or we are projecting protective or harmful authority. And I think it's important to see this that says, I'm responsible for you. I will keep you safe. I will keep you regulate until you can do it yourself.
And I'm sorry, this is not conditioning. This is not, I'm responsible for you if you do this and that. No, I am responsible for you. End of story, right?
Exactly. And when we are with lots of emotions, because we are scared, we are nervous because we know that our children are suffering. So that's why we start to project an authority sometimes that is harmful. For example, because I said what I said, you need to do it. Remember? A lot of families there. Remember when your parents told you that? And I remember that a father said to me, but that worked with me. good for you. But the thing is that now there are different times. And you cannot say to any of the child, if I as a mother say that to a child in 6-year-old, you know, you need to do it because I'm saying it. Good for you, but I'm not gonna do it, you know, because I am a little girl that knows exactly what I want at that age. So things work different. You are not supported to feel that way. I love you, but so the thing is, authority is not the problem. It's the way you express that authority. Positive discipline says that you need to connect to correct. And that's so important. Sometimes because we are nervous, we don't know how to connect with our children, and we start shouting and we start saying a lot of things. So the most important is to tell the children, you know something, I have lots of emotions right now. I'm going to drink a little bit of water. I'm going to organize my emotions, and then I will talk to you.
And there you're giving them self-regulation.
Exactly.
With your example.
Exactly.
And the child will say exactly the same thing when they have a lot of
When they
emotions.
have a problem.
Exactly.
I need, a 5-year-old, I need 5 minutes, I'm going to drink
They
some
do it.
water, I'm going to, you know, they'll
They
repeat
do
that.
it. Yeah,
And that's
yeah.
healthy.
Yeah.
And please, 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 never correct in public.
No.
You know, try to create a connection, understand, validate emotions. Even if you don't say a single word, just with your gestures, like, okay, okay. Even if you are so nervous and you want to say a lot of things, hold your breath and calm down and say, okay, talk. They need to talk, they need to express. Because when they express, they understand a lot of things, and then you just need to guide them, not to tell them what to do. So basically, connection is in public, and do it just in a private spaces and not in front of
And I
others.
just want to add something to what Claudia's saying. This is not an opinion. This is science. This is biology. When a brain is upset, it will not be ready to understand a lesson.
True.
If a brain is trying to protect itself,
It's fight or flight.
it will not be receptive to any of the wonderful lessons you want to explain and all the 100,000 words you want to tell to that child. That child will not listen because its biology does not allow. He's not or she's not in control at that moment.
And be careful, because when they are in a conflict, in a situation, and they tell you a lot of things, if you said, come on, it's not a big deal. I'm totally sure all of us have said, even as
Yes.
teachers sometimes, it's not a big
Yeah.
deal.
True.
You need to be careful because, yeah, of course, it's something complicated because your children they are telling you, you know, I don't know what to do. If we minimize, you know, that, they're not going to tell you a single thing.
I agree.
And that happens a lot when they are teenagers, no?
Yeah.
That they don't share at all. I was talking to a student the other day and said, no, Claudia, how can I imagine that I'm going to tell this to my mom? You know, she will kill me. And I said, I'm totally not. And they say, believe me, she doesn't say a single thing, but she opens her eye like this, you know, and then she says, honey, to the husband, can you help me here? Because she doesn't know what to do, and I don't want her to feel scared, you know, and I prefer to talk to my friends that they are the ones who can guide me. You know? So please be aware, as we said at the beginning, aware of all what you transmit with your nonverbal and verbal communication, and validate the emotions.
Yeah, I would say that it might not be that much for you, maybe, but for them, it is. And that's what matters, right? So we need to think about them, not about us. If it's not important for you, that's fine. But if it's important for them, then you need to pay attention and listening. Like, why is this so important? And guide them and help them to overcome it and find a solution in the end, right? Because you're there to do that, because you're there to connect with them and help them.
Yeah. So basically, the difference between trust-based guidance and fear-based obedience. You can see everything here, you know. What you need to think is, what do I do at home, you know? When I ask the parents in the admissions interviews, what do you think your child thinks about you? I'm very surprised when they said, no idea. Ask him and tell me. And I said, Yes, I can ask him, and for sure, he or she is going to tell me. But why don't you ask him or her? Because definitely, if you trust them, if you guide them, if you have lots of emotions, but you know how to control your emotions, if you know how to express things, they're going to tell you that because they're totally honest. No? They said, yeah, once in a while they get upset, but at the end, they guide you and they give you the hand and they say, I love you. So that's an invitation. What do you think you project to your children? If I ask them about you, what do you think they're going to tell me? Or tell not only me, tell anyone, That's very important. So do we trust them? Or do they trust us, or are they nervous about us?
I was just going to say the outcome of this, right? So when we have a trust-based guidance, then we can have a confident child.
100%.
Right?
Yep.
Who understands emotions, is starting to understand and manage them, but they're confident. They have their ground very clear. If you have a fear-based obedience, they're gonna be panicking. They're gonna be nervous. They don't know what to do. They're so unconfident. So also, we need to be aware of how this is impacting their personality and their lives.
Absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely.
And about the connection, most of the parents, when they are upset, nervous, sad, disappointed about something that the child has done, they decide to use some mechanisms to connect with them. They remove that connection. So they start, no,
silent treatment.
Right now, I don't want to talk. Later. It's not that way because I need to organize my emotions and we need to talk. No, it's I don't want to talk to you right now. And that's what a mother told me. I don't want to talk to him because if not, I'm going to tell him a lot of things and I'm really angry. Tell him or tell her that. I'm angry, but I don't want to hurt you and I need to leave. But it's not that I remove,
or my love.
It's like a punishment. I'm not going to talk to you because basically you don't deserve me to talk to you. The cold tone, that is more or less the same. And ignoring the child until they behave better. No, please don't do that. Because if not, he's going to learn, I need to be better, I mean to be good, so you can love me.
And
that's not fair.
what does it mean to be good? Until they behave better. That's so broad, that's so abstract. If you tell this to a, 5-year-old, which is the ages that I know better, they have no idea what that means. They have a certain idea of things, but that's very broad for them. It's very difficult to tell them this. They don't know how to act with this.
And we know that sometimes parents do that in not an intentional way, because they are with fear, with anger, and the most important is to be in the moment, try to calm down so you project everything in an assertive way and they don't misunderstand things.
So it is important also to consider that parenting is not for the moment. And yes, we'll have this moment and in a week it'll be over. No, this is continuous, this is arduous, this is a marathon, not a sprint. So we decided to bring these children into the world. We have to make sure that they're the best human beings that they can. And because some of us lived through certain childhoods, aggressiveness, or whatever, it does not give us permission to disconnect and say, okay, I'm not going to do that, but I'm going to give you an iPad. I'm going to give you this. I'm going to give you that so that you have everything that I did not know or have. There's no replacement for that connection. Exactly. So when is the last time you actually, you may have 2 children, your spouse or not, or just, when's the last time you went out, had some ice cream, and had a conversation, not about how you're doing in school, how are your grades, how, do you just get to know that child, connect with that child in order to understand where they are so that we can help them grow into who they're supposed to be.
And when was the last time when your child was really or nervous or angry or was doing a tantrum, you just give them like this, connect with this because I cannot connect with you right now. Do you understand what I'm saying?
And because they're embarrassed in public.
Yeah, exactly. Right now, look, calm him down. I think in that moment, go for the ice cream or give him an ice cream, but face to face. It's important to connect with them.
The eye
to calm
contact.
them. Yeah, not just through this.
Because we give them devices, we give them mechanisms to neutralize emotions, but we're just not dealing with the emotion. It's going to come out anyway.
Exactly.
So you're going to be uncomfortable in restaurants. Too bad.
Yeah.
You're going to be uncomfortable in a birthday
Yeah.
party or a
Yeah,
celebration.
it's
Too
gonna
bad.
happen.
Parenting is not about comfort. It's not.
Yeah.
Okay. So now I'm going to ask. I'm going to say something controversial. Is this part of
No,
the
the last part. That limits are important, and please put the limits always in a kind way, in a safe way, controlling your emotions. You know, you can see right away when someone doesn't have limits, you know,
Yeah.
or an adult or a child.
Yeah.
And then they're going to be in trouble, you know, they're going to like boom with the world, because in the world there are limits. And we need to
Yeah.
learn how to relate with those limits.
And I think not having boundaries is also violent
And you need to
from
be
us.
kind,
So-
calm, you know,
Yeah.
organize your emotions, basically.
I mean, we need to regulate it as adults. Adults are not perfect. No,
No,
adult is
far
perfect.
from that.
But like Claudia said before, if you actually state to a child what you need, 2 minutes away, I need to sort of breathe or have a cup of coffee or whatever it is, we're also teaching them self-regulation. And I'm going to say something controversial because everything is bullying.
Everything.
Everything is bullying in
lately.
the vocabulary of parents and the vocabulary of some people. When you are under a certain age, bullying is not possible. And I want to bring you into that part of that conversation. Your brain does not allow
No.
it because it involves
You're not ready.
certain mechanisms.
True.
So if you could walk us through that.
Sure. So we're going to speak about bullying and early years and, the unconnection between them, because there's not connection. They're not equipped to bully yet, and which is great. Why? Because they're just expressing their needs, they're just expressing their feelings, they don't have the regulation yet. They're not gonna come and say, or go home and say, I have this plan, so every time when I see this person, I'm gonna go and do this and this and that. They don't have that. And you know it, because you need to fight hard at home for them to follow a routine, right? So they don't have that planning structure in their brains yet. If we label all their behaviors, childhood behaviors as bullying, we might be misunderstanding their needs. We might respond with fear or punishment for something that it's just development. We might miss the chance to teach these skills to them. They naturally focus on their own needs. It's all about them, right? In their own feelings, what they want right now. They don't want it 5 minutes later. They want it now, right? So it is normal development. It doesn't mean that they want to harm others. They are egocentric, and that's not bad. That's not malicious. They understand that they're the world, they're the center of the world, and act like that, right?
Because that's children.
Because that's children.
Some adults too, but that's just.
So they don't have the sustained intent of, I'm gonna keep hurting you every day when I see you. As I was saying, they don't have the strategic plan. They don't understand how status or power work. They're beginning to understand, authority and all of that, but they don't have this, I'm better than you, or I am more powerful, or anything like this. And they don't want to dominate, right? So the most hurtful moments when they do something that hurts others is an impulse. It's not planned, so it's not bullying, okay? They might be repeating the same thing, and the fact that it's not bullying doesn't mean that we're not doing anything about it, right? So if we see a child who's pushing constantly, hitting, or doing these behaviors, we also need to address this. But this is developmentally. This is not bullying, and it's very important that we keep this in mind
Or
and that we
repeating words that we
differentiate.
hear at home.
For example.
Or from peers or whatever.
From peers.
So the child is not thinking how this affects you. They're thinking, I need this now. And I'm gonna grab it from your hand, even if you're not ready to give it to me, right? That's how they act. So if a child is hitting, they're testing the boundaries. If you tell them, don't hit a child, well, they would keep that in mind, but they're testing.
What happens if I tell you, if you don't hit a child for a week, I'll give you a prize, a toy? What happens?
That's very difficult for them to manage. Please don't do that. They don't have the tools or the structure in themselves to be able to control this for a week. And then why are you, like giving a reward for a behavior that should be normal?
Expected, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it is very important that we differentiate in which stage is these children, right? So if they're testing the boundaries, they go and test it with their own, bodies and hands and everything. For them, that's how it works. If they push, maybe they're just overwhelmed. They are having all these emotions. They don't know how to say, oh, let me go, drink some water, and calm down. No, they're overflowing, right? If they're excluding others, maybe they don't have the language to say, this is how I feel, and that's why, blah, 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 blah. If they're taking a toy, it's impulse. I want that toy now. And if they say, no, you cannot play, their nervous system is dysregulated, right? So what do we do? Remember that they have limited language. So the first language that they have is their behavior. They don't have the words yet. That's why they act everything out, because it's easier for them. That's how their bodies work, okay? So it's like having these big feelings in a very small body that they don't know what to do with all of this, right? So what can we do? What can we do at home? How can we help them learn all of these skills? Because I'm gonna repeat it again, the fact that it's not bullying doesn't mean that we're not doing anything about it, right? So we need to teach regulation, empathy, and repair, right? For regulation, and we have a traffic light there, you can even use the traffic light, yes? When I'm in red, I'm very upset, even my face can turn red, and I'm not ready to think. I'm in the fight or flight mode, that's it. So what do I do when I'm in red? I stop, I pause, and I take some time. If I move to the yellow, that means that I'm starting to calm down, that I'm starting to think, that my body is feeling better. And when I'm in the green, I'm ready to go. I'm calm, I have thought about this, I'm regulated, and I have my parents, my adults, they're giving me, possibilities so I can repair what I did. Or so I can, calm down, right? So very important is that you connect the body first, because that's their world. So you need to ask them, how is your body feeling, okay? And that will give you a lot of information. You can have a calming corner. We all have...
Not with technology.
Please, this is to connect, right? So here in school, if you walk around the classrooms, you'll see a calming corner in each classroom, because it's so important, right? So I would suggest that you kind of build this calming corner with them, because they need to start understanding what type of things work for them. And you can have simple things like some breathing techniques, some, posters or images of that. Cautions, because maybe they will need just to, hold the pillow very tightly, or maybe a fidgety toy,
100%.
or maybe some cards that says, I don't know, drink some water. For some other children, it's very important physical activity that helps them connect. So
And I'm
10
sorry to
jump.
interrupt here,
Go.
because we're also like 10 minutes away from finishing. But anyhow, it is important to be with a child in this and say, do you want me to be there? Do you not want me to be there? Okay. Do you
But
want
I'm
me to
going to be
in the
around.
room?
But I'm going to be
I'm going to
around.
be around. But I'm going to be there. This is not a time for you to say, you know what? You stay there. It's a timeout. It's
Yes.
not that. So can I be with you? Do you want me to be? No. Okay. Do you want me to be outside the room?
Or
Okay.
how
But,
can I
yeah,
help
how
you?
can I help?
And you can count on me.
Yeah.
That's the most important. Even if you are really angry, I'm here for you, and definitely I'm going to guide you. Don't worry. Trust me.
And empathy, you need to be empathetic. There's no way to teach empathy if you're doing it from shame. So if you want to teach empathy, be empathetic. That's the easier way. Something very quick that you can ask in the afternoon is, okay, so who helped someone today? did you see that someone was sad, or what did they do? Try to give them some, questions that guide them into being like more aware of the people around them. And how to repair, mistakes are mistakes, but they can make actions to do it. So for example, if they, I don't know, bumped into someone and this person fell down, they go, are you okay? How can I help you? This is empathy, and this is what we do. Model it, and then they will learn it.
And we do not demonstrate that when somebody falls, or we're watching a video about somebody falling, that we're laughing. Because the child will understand that if somebody falls,
It's normal to
it's
laugh.
laughable.
I think it's important to do an important exercise with our children when they arrive home and they say, Pepita, as I always say, put the name Pepita, is bullying me. Before you jump and you say, yes, let me help you. Yes, we need to do this. First, listen, what your child is saying. Why is it bullying? And explain them the difference between conflict and bullying. Because we're going to have conflicts all our lives. And we need to learn from those conflicts, and we're going to become better human beings after learning from those conflicts. But bullying, no. Bullying is something complicated, something that hurts you a lot. So I want you to read this, that basically says, conflict is a disagreement or problem between people. No? Usually both sides play a role, not just one. Power is equal or similar. Can be one-time situation. Can be accidental or emotional. Feelings are hurt, but it can be repaired. Needs support, problem solving, and repair. Last week I had like 5 sessions with students that said, no, this student is bullying me, this student is bullying me. And then we sat down and I said, okay, talk. Let's talk and see if it's bullying or not. At the end, the children, or some of the children, knew that they made a mistake, that they say things in a bad way, they spread rumors, and the others said, oh, it's not bullying. Actually, it was my fault too. So I do think it's important that our children don't see themselves as victims.
Very good.
Victims like, no, everybody, since I was little, everybody, has hurt me, has done a lot of terrible things, okay?
And important that parents don't project that.
Exactly. If someone is bullying you, it's not, the way to defend yourself is like asking for help, or at least say, like this, like stop. Talk to someone you trust, please, a teacher, here in the school I'm talking, family, but do something, be proactive. Please teach children to be proactive, because if they are proactive, they are not going to see themselves as victims. And please talk to them about that, and I'll say, but there are situations, but they can read them, I think.
Yeah, these are just scenarios for you to kind of understand the difference between conflict and bullying.
And social media, more or less what you said, we need to be very attentive. One student said to me, I have a friend online. Oh, he's a wonderful, wonderful boy, He's 12 years old and handsome and everything. I said, really? Handsome? Okay, did you see the picture? Did you see? No. Did you see him on camera? No. So how do you know that he's handsome? No, it seems like he's handsome. It seems that he's nice. Seems that I can trust him. And I said, no. and I was like, be careful, Claudia. Don't be worried. Those terrible things that happen in the movies, happen just in the movies. In the real life, it's not like that. It's like that, and it's worse. And we have had cases. So please be vigilant. Teach them to protect yourself and not trust all the people that said that they are like 15, 12, 11 years old. Maybe they are 60. And when I said to that student, tell your parents, no way, they're going to make a big deal. And I said, no, you need to tell your parents. They are not going to kill you, as one of them said to me. They're going to listen to you. They're going to guide you. So please be vigilant of your children because they are in a bigger risk when they are online.
And maybe we'll address this in a different talk, but there is active legislation around the world that is changing how we react to social media. So we have right now France, we have Spain, we have Australia who are banning social media for people under the age of 16 because it recognizes the damage and the possibility of damage that this is going through. So it's important for us to understand that. Yeah? So I have a couple questions from our faithful members who have been with us the whole time. So I think you addressed this, Claudia, but if you could sort of hone into this a little bit more. How do we reinforce in parents the difference between conflict and bullying, and how can we manage conflict with our children?
First, let them express, as I said, what really happens, The person attack you, was the person attacking you because you did something, or basically because the person was having lots of emotions? Let's analyze the situation. Let's look for possible solutions. What can you do? Conflict is a disagreement. And when there's a disagreement, you also did something maybe because there's a conflict.
What's your role in that?
So what is your role? Did you say something to that child or not? No, I didn't do a single thing. I just rolled my eyes. Even if you roll your eyes, with that rolling your eyes, what you're saying is,
You're being reactive.
you've been reactive. So be aware of the things you transmit. So that is conflict. And even if it's a conflict, look for someone you trust also to help you. Because we all need support when we have a conflict. We all need a hand, to help us. Bullying is something different. I don't know if I understand.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Bibi, what is the appropriate role of the school and parents regarding bullying without placing responsibility only on the student who was bullied? For example, suggestion that they should be more direct, firmer in saying stop. How do we ensure accountability?
So I would say, can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
Thanks. Okay, the appropriate role of the school and the parents, I would say is mainly the same. We're adults and we have been talking about how our own behavior impact them, right? So our job as a community, as parents and as a school is to be very aware of what we do, what are we teaching them, and how are we supporting them, I would say, right? I would say we cannot just say, oh, you are responsible, or she is responsible, or no, this is a shared responsibility. And what do we need to do? Work together. We need to communicate with each other, because if you're giving them a message and we're giving them a different message, we're not doing anything, right? So we need to kind of come together and understand teamwork. What are we doing together? No?
And don't go against each other, parents and schools. Sorry,
Yeah,
the question wasn't for me, but it's important to work together, to help them,
And for you, Claudia, so how can the school be active and make sure that the action is not being minimized? I think parents sometimes think that we're not acting on it because we're not telling them every step of the way, but this is just my interpretation. So sometimes students are told maybe you misunderstood or it's being minimized when it's actually bullying. How would you say that we can make them feel heard? What concrete steps does the school take to recognize bullying, to take it seriously?
I think that we do the best of ourselves, playing an active role here.
Yes.
The most important is to observe, the children here in school, and I think we observe the children all the time. Listening to them, validate their feelings, don't judging. Just you say, okay, tell me more. If we see a conflict, work, to solve the conflict. Express, let's look, all of us, look for a solution to move forward. If there's bullying, definitely we need to do something to stop, and believe me,
Yes.
we do a lot of things to stop bullying. First, we talk to the families and we let them know, the family, no, that your child is a bully. No, what is happening? Let's work together to guide, your child to show these wonderful things that he has and not only the things that I don't like people. You know, I heard,
And we are not going to share that conversation with everybody
I know,
else.
just with the family and the student. You know.
Because I think people want to know.
No, but
No, that's
no.
what is private is private.
It is private.
Full stop. Yeah,
You would not want your child's business everywhere,
It's
right?
integrity. It's
Yeah.
integrity. You don't do it.
be with them. You know what we do in the values committee, for example. You know, helps us a
Yeah,
lot.
we have 3
social
weeks.
clubs, for example.
Yeah.
That they love to talk. It's incredible. You know, the children go there to talk and to look for solutions.
Yes.
So I have a difficult question here, which is, what happens with a divorced family that have disagreements and points of view on how to handle this sort of situation? And it's a matter of you having, or hopefully creating a space. And if you cannot do it between you two, maybe finding somebody else that will help you create that space, where you understand your roles as parents. You're no longer spouses, you're no longer partners. That's okay.
Parenting.
You do not get to walk away from the responsibility of parenting.
That's true.
That is not something that you can do. You're not allowed. I'm sorry. Forbidden. You have to come up with a way that, okay, what's our middle ground? How do we understand this and how do we walk forward with that? And married parents have the same
Yes.
difficulty, you know, you understand this, it's nothing, my poor baby, and I'm like, no. So we have to decide on how we are going to parent and be consistent, because a child that finds inconsistency will try to navigate the cracks. They're smart, they're smarter than we are.
And despite your differences, you need to be, you know, like a team as parents.
Yeah.
Never talk bad about the other
Agreed.
in front of the children.
This is not about you. This is about the child, and you need to keep that in mind. This is not about your differences or how are you gonna fight with each other. This is about how do we help this person that we, brought into the world. How can we make this better for this person?
Absolutely. So it's a matter of understanding that it's not about you. And the final question, is there a protocol for bullying cases? Absolutely.
Yes.
So you can contact us, you can send an email and start a conversation. And that's the idea, where we'll guide you through a conversation and we can determine what is a conflict, what is bullying, and if it is, how we take that into a disciplinary committee. There are many ways that we handle this. Not one way is the same as another. I think that there's an array of things. To this, I want to come up to a closure and say thank you very much for
Thank
this
you.
opportunity,
Thank
for
you,
this
everybody.
conversation. Thank you for
Thank you.
being
Thank
with us.
you.
It has been a wonderful opportunity and we hope to meet soon. Our next topic, I think, is going to be around positive discipline and how that's going to come into the home. And we really appreciate you joining us in CGB Talks. Thank you.
Bye.